Hi, I'm Ashley, and this is the corner of the internet where I talk about my knitting. I live in a small studio apartment with my boyfriend Angel and our two dogs, Yaku and Chango. I usually split up this video into two parts. The first part I will be talking about my finished objects, what I'm working on, any future plans, all about the yarn and designers I'm working with. And then I take you along with me throughout the week to coffee shops or just knitting at my apartment with some calming music in the background so we can craft together. To start, I'd like to talk about my first finished object, which is the Polina Vest by Teti Lutzak.
This is a sister design to the Polina pullover. The original design was inspired by the Ukrainian artist Polina Reiko, who covered the walls and ceilings of her home in enamel painted drawings of fantastic birds and flowers. The vest is knitted bottom up, partially in the round and flat. An alternative chart for those looking to avoid long floats is also provided.
I am super happy with how this garment turned out. It is a very interesting vest with kind of a sloped shoulder, which I really appreciated. The motif is just super gorgeous. I loved the yarn that I used. It's so soft, and I've worn it for the last couple of days, and I just really like how it keeps my core warm. I think this is something that I can wear year-round, maybe not so much in the summer, but definitely spring, autumn, winter. It is just such a nice garment, and it's definitely the first vest that I've made, and I want to make more. I can see why it's such a versatile piece of clothing. You know, you can wear it on top of long sleeve shirts. You can wear it with nothing underneath. And since this is wool, it's just so nice where, you know, if you just need a little bit of warmth, you can just throw it on a dress or a skirt and just have a nice garment to wear. Yaku is being very cute. As we all know, he's the needy one in the apartment, so he's often in these videos because he wants to be held. Cutie. Next, I would like to talk about the Favo sweater that I'm working on. I did finish the first panel. So this will be the front panel. I went ahead and blocked it. It's suggested in the pattern that you can either seam all the pieces together and block it together, or you can block the pieces separately and then seam it together. So I decided to block it because I wanted to see how the cable's laid, and I'm super happy with it. You know, because of the cabling, when I finished knitting it, it was all pretty crumpled up, and I wanted to see how the cables would relax and how the garment would grow, and I'm super happy with how it has grown and how it is laying. So I am looking forward to having this this garment in my wardrobe. I have started the back panel, and it is slightly different from the front, which I actually really like. So the rest of the garment is going to be pretty like it's not going to be as intensive with cabling. It's just going to have this brioche pattern for the sleeves, and the back panel does not have this center cabling. It's going to just be garter stitch, which I really like that. I've been wanting a garment where the statement part of the garment is the front and the rest of the garment is different, so I'm looking forward to it. I am knitting this in Wool Dreamers Tejesa de Barrera DK weight, along with a lace, which is the Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair. I have made some progress on my Paul cardigan. I have actually just finished the sleeve last night. So I just have one last sleeve to go and to sew on the buttons, and I will have this cardigan completed. I am knitting this in one strand of the Easier Alpaca 1 in a gray undyed color, along with Daughter of a Shepherd, which is 100% wool fingering weight, which is also an undyed, natural, unprocessed wool. A project that I pretty spontaneously casted on is the Sophie Hood by Petite Knit. This is what I have so far, so not too much. It is knitted from one tip to the next tip. I thought this would be a practical and useful garment, as well as just something that's really cute. It's kind of, I'm sure everyone has seen it since Petite Knit is such a, iconic designer. But it's pretty much a shawl that towards the center includes some increases so that you could wear it as a hood and wrap it around yourself. So kind of like a balaclava shawl hybrid. And I was looking at other hoods where you place it over your head and it sits there and you can kind of wear it off. But I don't know, there was just something about the ease of a garter stitch, back and forth flat design with some increases that I thought would just kind of fly off the needle. And I had some yarn in my pantry that I thought would be great. So I did have some Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair. I feel like I've been using this in every project, along with the Easier Alpaca one. But I had some of this soft silk mohair in the color Brown Bear. And last summer, me and my boyfriend Angel, we ended up going to a alpaca farm that was about an hour and a half away from where we live. It's just this really cute couple that have retired, and they are very interested in alpaca wool, and so they decided to move to a house and buy like 12 to 15 alpacas and just have an alpaca farm. And they make yarn and they bring the alpacas to like weddings for photo shoot opportunities. You can go to their farm and meet the alpacas, and so that's what me and Angel did. It was super cute and such a fun little experience. And they had some yarn, and I couldn't leave without some yarn from these awesome alpacas. I'll put up some pictures of me hanging out with the alpacas because they were super friendly. One of them was named Firecracker, and she was a Surrey alpaca, which I had no idea that Surrey alpaca came from a specific breed of alpaca. So that was really interesting because I always thought Surrey alpaca yarn was processed in that way for it to have that long staple length, wool, and it's super fuzzy. But it turns out that Surrey alpacas have a longer, not so curly wool. And so when you process it, it becomes Surrey alpaca. But I ended up getting, Angel actually gifted me, it's very sweet, a couple of skeins of this sport weight alpaca yarn from one of their individuals. I don't know who it came from, what their name was, but they did dye it to be this very dark almost black but chocolatey brown color. And they match perfectly together. And this is a sport weight. I have 2 skeins of 400 yards, and I have 4 skeins of this soft silk mohair, and so I'm expecting only to use maybe 1, probably 2, if not crack into a 3rd ball. And it is making this fabric. So next I'd like to talk about my spinning. For Christmas, Angel ended up buying me a spinning wheel, which if there's any spinners that watch me or any knitters, I'm sure you all know that that is such a big deal. You know, they are not a very, you know, they're not cheap. They're quite an expensive tool. And he got me the Ashford Kiwi 3. It's a traveling spinning wheel, so the treadle pad is able to fold up on itself. We did find a place for it in our apartment. That was probably the biggest thing that deterred me from wanting to get a wheel, was the space in our apartment. I didn't think would allow for it, but we did find a space for it. And I have been spinning on it every day, a couple times a day. I've been watching some videos on how to spin on the spinning wheel, how to be more consistent in how to be more consistent in my thread. And it has just been so fun. It is so beautiful. I am just so grateful of Angel. He has just been so sweet and so supportive of my craft. And I am just so excited to create yarn. It is such a therapeutic experience to spin. I think it was a couple nights ago, I just got really sucked into it for about an hour and a half. I lost track of time. And Angel was just like, wow, you're like really into it right now. He didn't want to disturb me, and he was just kind of like watching this like this whole experience happen as I just kind of really got sucked into it. And it is just such a pleasure. And so I'm so grateful for Angel. I was kind of hesitant on getting a wheel for a while. I did spindle spinning for a while, but I would always get stuck just because, it takes so long to spindle spin. And I'm quite consistent in my spindle spinning. But from going from, creating one single thread to creating a second single thread and then plying it, it was just kind of this process where I would get stuck. I didn't want to create a whole other single thread and then to ply it. If anything, I was thinking about getting one of those more affordable e-spinners to ply my spindle spun threads together, because it would be a faster process. But now that I have this spinning wheel, I can do the whole process on one tool. So I'm just so thrilled. And I was able to, I've been practicing on some practice wool. So I went through probably 25 grams just practicing, and I decided to just kind of go through the whole process of about 25 grams of wool, and this is what came out. So of course, since this is technically my first spin, it is quite thick and thin. Certain parts are more kinky than others in the sense that I spun it too tightly. But I am so proud of this. This is washed. This was, wrapped up on a nitty knotty, which is the first time that I did that. So that was also a learning experience. And yeah, I am just so thrilled by my first skein of yarn that I spun. One of the classes that I'm taking, the teacher mentioned to keep your first skeins, or your, the skeins that you're first producing, so that you can see your growth as you continue to spin and make better yarn. So thrilled. Since it is the new year, I feel like a lot of us knitters are just having that New Year cast on fever. And so I am going to indulge in that. I did prepare a couple of plates of my Newton yarn in order to cast on the September sweater from Petite Knit. I am probably gonna cast that on tomorrow. That is the first of the year, and so I think I'm going to start it then. So this is the Newton yarn. I ended up putting 2 strands together and winding up into a ball, because that is a easier way of like knitting from Newton, since it's a plate. Just rolling it into yarn that can kind of roll away from itself is just an easier way to not break the yarn, since it is so delicate. And I am pairing it with an Easier Alpaca 1 in the color Gingerbread. And these two together, I think, is just going to pair very nicely. So holding 2 strands of the Newton along with the Easier 1 should bring my gauge to a worsted weight. The nice thing about Newton is that it is so airy that it kind of, if you knit it in a larger gauge or with larger needles, it tends to expand on itself after blocking. And after wear. And you can also knit it on smaller needles and it'll just kind of compact on itself. So it's quite versatile when it comes to the yarn gauge of Newton. Oh dear. So once I do cast off my Paul cardigan, which should take me about a week, my Oslo sweater is still on hold, as I'm still waiting for that Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the color Caramel from Wool & Co. It still hasn't come yet, but that should only take me a couple of hours to just bind off. I should have 2 finished objects, which I think would allow me to cast on a couple of new projects. So this is kind of my future plans. A sweater that has just captivated me, and I am just so excited to cast it on. And after some thinking and digging through my yarn pantry, I found a yarn combination that I think would work perfectly. I want to knit the Waffle Loop sweater by Other Loops. It is this very interesting, several textured cabled sweater. I think it is so stunning. I think it is knitted at either a DK or a worsted weight. I think it might be DK. But I have this beautiful cone of 100% baby alpaca that my parents brought back for me from Peru when they went recently. I have it in this beautiful beige color. It is more cool toned, which I think is just so stunning, and it has heathering to it. So this is a fingering weight yarn. And I did have some Easier Soft Fine in my pantry. This was going to be for a different project. I was gonna hold this together with some plotolopi that I have, but since I want to make this waffle loop sweater, I thought these two would work quite well together. And it would bring this fingering weight to a DK, and from the fluff even probably to a worsted weight. The easier soft fine is 63% alpaca, 26% silk, and 11% yak, which is so lovely. Yeah, I'm really excited. This is the first time I am knitting with this yarn, and I think it is just a great alternative to mohair. I am trying to break away from mohair as much. It is convenient because it is just so readily available. And I do find that just because of the knitting for olive, that's the more affordable option, whereas Surrey alpaca tends to be quite expensive. So I'm trying to find a Surrey alpaca alternative that I can kind of use more aside from the easier alpaca one that I use. I just want to find something that has that fluff to it, that halo, and I think this is a good option, but it is pricier, and it is a 25-gram ball with 150 meters, so it doesn't have too much meterage to it, which means you have to buy quite a few balls in order to make a sweater. The last sweater that I'd like to talk about that I am planning on making here in the near future is the Celeste sweater by Petite Knit. It is a color work yoke, round yoke sweater, which includes 4 alternating colors with a main color. This is such a statement pattern. I think it's just super beautiful. And from what I've heard from other knitters that have made it, they mention that it's quite easy. And considering them saying that it's quite easy, it looks really complicated, and it just looks like such a beautiful pattern. This is the first time that I would be knitting a color work pattern with more than 2 colors, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I think I wanted to go with this sweater as well, not only because it is stunning, but because from what I've heard from people, you're not using more than 3 colors at a time while doing the color work. So I thought that's such a great option. So the yarn that I'm planning on using, I am so excited for it. This is the Fiber Co. Lore. This is a 100% Kent lamb's wool, sourced and produced in England. So this is a DK weight yarn. It is 100% wool, and it has so much dimension to it. This is the color Confident. It is kind of like this grayish blue, almost leaning charcoal color, which would be my main color. And for the alternate colors, I had so much fun picking these out, and they luckily come in these 25-gram like balls of yarn, which is an option. So I bought 2 of each, which I really appreciate because it's kind of frustrating to create a color work sweater and having so much leftover yarn because you buy like 100 grams of it, whereas this one just comes in small 25 grams, so I should be able to use the majority of it. So I decided to use a couple of colors here. This is the color Pensive. which is this light gray. This is the color Truth, which is almost an iridescent colorway. It is mostly leaning bluish green, but it has a little bit of a purpley pink hue throughout it. Super beautiful. This is the color Stable, which is a creamy beige. And this is my favorite color. I actually have a sweater's worth of this that my mom purchased for me, so that's going to wait for the perfect project. But this is the color Courage. It is a brownie. It has almost speckles, but like some yellow, orange, a little bit of green. I see some purple, but overall it's kind of this rust color. So I thought all of these together would just make a beautiful Celeste sweater. Let me hold this right. That concludes the chatting portion of my video. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope you have a wonderful new year. Today for me is the 31st, and so you guys will be seeing this tomorrow, which will be the first of the new year. So happy 2025. I can't believe how quickly this year went by, but I think that's what everyone is saying. Yeah, enjoy this new year. Me and Angel are just going to take it easy tonight. We are going to start the Star Wars series. So we're going to watch the OG original ones tonight, which I'm so looking forward to. I haven't seen those since I was like in high school. So we are going to watch that while we put together a Star Wars Christmas puzzle that I bought for him for Christmas. So we're just gonna hang out, do that. I am going to run to the grocery store to buy some grapes. A Peruvian tradition that I grew up with. Well, there's several, but one of them that I try to do every year for New Year's is eat 12 grapes. And as you eat each grape, you make a wish for the next year. So I'm gonna run to the grocery store, buy some grapes, and that's something I'm looking forward to experiencing with Angel. So I'll have 12 grapes for each of us, and we can eat it tonight at the, at midnight. So let me know what traditions you have, whether it's family traditions that you do for New Year's, or if it's a cultural tradition. I love the cultural ones. Some other wacky ones that Peru does is wearing yellow underwear because that brings good luck. Another one is grabbing your travel bag, so like your suitcase that you would travel with, and running around the block at midnight, so that would bring lots of travel for the next year. Yeah, so there's some fun ones, but I'm gonna stick to the grape one this year. And yeah, enjoy the holiday and have fun, be safe, and I'll see you on the next one. Let's get crafting. so.